Welcome to the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I am your host, Shannon Whaley, and I'm here to help coaches, consultants, and service providers like you build profitable, sustainable online businesses without the hustle or the burnout that's so prevalent in the online space. I am here to show you that there is a totally different way to do business that doesn't leave you burnt the fuck out and hating your life. It's time to ditch the hustle culture and embrace a new way of doing business. So get ready to redefine success on your terms and build a thriving anti-hustle based business where you have more money, more naps, more travel, more freedom, more whatever the fuck you want in your life. So buckle up and let's dive in. Hi, friends. Okay, welcome back to the podcast. As promised for this season, I have a very personal share for this episode. As we all know, if you're going through something in your personal life, then your business is going to be profoundly affected. And so this episode is no different. Today, I want to talk to you about perimenopause and the shit show that I have been going through over the last year. I would say 2025 has just absolutely kicked my ass. It has been a shitstorm in so many ways, and my business has been profoundly affected because of what I've been going through in my personal life. I want to share this with you because there are so many women in particular who are of similar age. I'm 46 and even younger, but if I can share anything with you today that gives you some insight into what you're going through or what you are potentially going to be going through, and I shorten the learning curve for you somehow, or I normalize what you're experiencing, or light bulbs go off in your head, then I feel like my job here will be done. So August hit me like a fucking freight train, and I knew that I was in perimenopause, but August was when everything just collapsed for me. Like my mood tanked, my energy disappeared. I was severely depressed, and I'm going to get into that, but it became really very clear very fast that I needed some sort of medical help. So I'm going to kind of go backwards so we can get up to today. So I actually realized as I started putting the pieces together that I started perimenopause many years ago, and I thought that I was fine. But what I experienced was that there were little shifts, there were little changes. So I used to have such thick, beautiful, curly hair, so thick, and it wouldn't even fit in my hand when you're, making an O with your hand. My hair was so thick that I couldn't even close my fingers. Now it's like maybe just like I'd say maybe like a quarter, like if there was like a coin or something. I don't even know if it would be that much. My hair is destroyed. And I thought, oh, it's because I have been bleaching it for several years. I mean, 5-6 years now, I've been doing at least some sort of coloring or serious full bleaching. Like it was like an 8 to 10 hour event when I went to the stylist. I thought maybe it's because I am on thyroid medicine, and that was part of it. So my thinning hair was an issue. I couldn't sleep. So I have had horrible sleep for years, probably the last, 7 years or so. My sleep has been pretty dicey. One thing that really tipped me off was that my body was not responding to the workouts that I was doing, like the same exact workouts that got me into the best shape of my life back in 2015 through 2017. I was super fucking fit, lean, very muscular, and counting macros, doing a shortcut to shred workout, which I've been doing. So it's progressive overload. And I remember going to the doctor a couple years ago and being like, look, I can't lose weight. And I don't know what I was thinking she was going to do because I don't really think that they're like, yeah, and like, well, I don't see the problem. But it was frustrating to me and I didn't understand what was happening. It was not presented to me in any way, shape, or form that I might be going through perimenopause. She was literally just like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Let's just take some blood samples. And it was never solved. That problem was never solved. Also, side note, I was in a very emotionally abusive marriage. So, to be honest, looking back, it was impossible for me to know what was what. Like, what was hormones, what was trauma, what was an activated nervous system, what was my body responding to. Was it thyroid stuff? Also, at the time, I had my breast implants removed back in 2019. I had had those for almost 20 years. Was told they're fine. You don't need to get them removed unless you're having a problem. You don't need to get them removed. And I started having problems and was like, I should probably get them out. So I didn't know if I had breast implant illness or if it was my thyroid or my cortisol was spiked because of my marriage. What was like the whole cause and effect thing? I had no idea. Was I having all of these symptoms because I wasn't sleeping? Like that alone is going to cause so many problems with your mood. Like if you're not sleeping well, it just affects literally everything. I was also in a very, very toxic work environment. The contract work that I was doing with the coach training company was so fucking toxic. It took me probably a good year to have my nervous system shed all of the shit that I had dealt with there. It was all stacked. And so this is why there were no answers. We couldn't figure out what was going on. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I thought, oh, if I solve this, my husband at the time, he snores. And so I would have to sleep in the other room and then I could still hear him snoring. I'm a really fucking light sleeper. So there were just like so many things. Money causes stress, right? So lack of money causes stress. So all of that was a huge problem for me. So I started going to the doctor because I couldn't lose weight and I was then starting to deal with serious shoulder pain in my left shoulder and hip pain in my right shoulder. So, unfortunately, it means that when I'm sleeping and I roll over, I have to pick which side is going to hurt more that day. And so I was getting weekly massages. I thought, oh, this will help. And then realized this is deeper. Like it feels like it's structural. And I was talking to him about it. Oh, let's keep doing this and let's keep doing that. And I ended up just firing him because it wasn't working. And I was doing the supplements. Like I take the collagen and eating this and eating that. And it was like literally nothing was helping. And so many times, like for years, I went to the doctor and she's like, let's do more blood tests. Well, that was 6 months ago. Let's see where, and there was literally nothing after that. Like we just did the blood test and every time, of course, and this is what I'm seeing when I follow all of these menopause doctors on the internet, they are all saying the same thing. Your labs are going to be normal. The doctors are going to say everything's fine. And what I have learned because they've taught me is that when you're dealing with perimenopause, you have to deal with the symptoms. You cannot deal with the blood work because this last doctor that I went to, she was like, none of your labs tell me that you're even close to menopause. And I was like, for fuck's sake, I just want to be done. I got my tubes tied when I was 35. So 11 years of being sterilized. I do not want kids. I tried to have more of a serious surgery back then because I was like, I don't want to have my period. But then that causes its own problems of going through menopause prematurely, blah, blah, blah. So I finally got x-rays of my hip and my shoulder. And she literally told me that you have used your body a lot. That's it. And so I was like, is this it? Is this the rest of my life? Because I have to take arthritis medicine. And it's just one thing after another. Now, the way that the medical system here in Italy works is we have national health care. So that is one way to go. It's a lot cheaper. It is a lot slower and not as efficient, in my opinion. Now, I can certainly go to, which I have opted in to do, private services. So, my gynecologist now is a private doctor. I will be looking for an endocrinologist as a private service. I just found out that at 45, and there's like lots of information about this, but I Googled it. And at 45, you should start thinking about a colonoscopy just to rule out any polyps for colorectal cancer. And that's what my grandma died of. Now, my mom's adopted, so she's not blood. But what I do remember of that was that she was not tested early enough. And had the doctors tested her and listened to her about her symptoms, she wouldn't have had as bad of a time. They caught it too late. And I don't know. I don't speak to my mom. I haven't talked to her in 8 years. So I can't remember all the details. I was 16, 17 when she died. So I don't remember much of the details. But what I do know is that it could have been caught. The doctors didn't listen. And that's been stuck in the back of my head. But I heard that at 45, because I don't know my family history, that this is something that I need. So I will also need to find a butt doctor, private butt doctor. I need like a whole side gig to pay for all my doctor's appointments and all of these meds and stuff. So this is where we are. Welcome to 46. So yeah, so I got the x-rays for my shoulder and my hip and was just basically told, you've used your joints a lot. This is just aging. So I still don't have answers about my hip in particular. Now, for whatever reason, my shoulder is better. I don't know. Maybe it's because the weather has changed. So then what I found out was that if the weather changes your joints, then that's arthritis. It's not necessarily, because like frozen shoulder is much more significant than what I'm experiencing. I've heard even that women can't put their hair in a ponytail, that they can't lift their arm like at all. So that's not where I am, thank goodness, knock on wood. And hopefully that's not happening. The frozen shoulder piece was a wake up call. I just thought perimenopause was hot flashes, weight gain, rage. There's all of these symptoms that people haven't talked about, like itchy ears and itchy skin. There's some days where it just feels like there's bugs crawling all over me and like my whole body is itchy. And of course, it's as soon as like Zoom starts and I'm on Zoom calls and I'm like itching my head and itching my neck and my face starts to itch. And it's what I hear is lack of estrogen. And you'll see me itching my ears all the time when I'm doing videos and stuff because it's incessant. It's nonstop. The back of my head, my neck. And then, of course, you start to break out in hives because now you're nervous. Anyway, so all of these symptoms that people aren't attributing them to perimenopause, but they are very much symptoms of perimenopause. So if you are brand new to this conversation and you're like, oh, I've been having these weird fucking symptoms and you're 35 and older, welcome. Time to start doing your research. Like, time to start understanding what's happening to your body. And thankfully, I've been following some really amazing doctors on Instagram and learning more about this and the conversations that I'm having with my friends behind the scenes. It has been really helpful to just not feel alone and feel like I'm going fucking crazy. So I would say probably a year ago is when things in my business started to feel really heavy. Everything felt like a fucking drag. I shut my mastermind down because launching it felt like such a heavy lift. Then I was planning launches. This is when I had a team and I couldn't get into it. I was like, I don't care. I don't know what to do. I'm not into the programs that I used to be in love teaching. And now when I'm on the calls, I love it. I love coaching. I love being there with my clients, but it was literally everything else. And then what started to happen too was it felt like there was such a disconnect between what I was teaching and what I was actually doing. Now, I know that what I teach works, but I didn't have the motivation. I was not excited. I didn't feel the fire in my belly to launch and to do the things. And I know how to launch and have fun. I know how to stay regulated. I know how to mitigate burnout. I have a massive content bank, right? Like I don't even really have to create brand new stuff. And I could not get fucking motivated to do anything. Now, obviously, that is going to impact my money and what I'm bringing in. And so, slowly, what started to happen was I had to pull back my finances. And so, I started slowly cutting things off, letting team go, scaling down hours to the point where eventually it was like, okay, now this is getting kind of scary because I don't have the income coming in. And thankfully, I was in a Facebook group and saw a recovery coach who does intervention services. She runs a whole company and intervention program or company where she was looking for a marketing coordinator. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do some contract work because it feels like such an easier lift for me. Mentally, I could not put myself out there and do the launches and be front facing in my business, but I can certainly create content for somebody else and help them with the marketing plan and doing all of that stuff. So fucking thank you, universe. The universe has my back and fully supports my dreams. And that is something that I have had to really hold on to. Thank the heavens that I was so diligent about profit first and having over $20,000 in savings and having access to several different credit cards because between my savings and the credit cards, that is what has been floating me and this income coming in, right? But it's not nearly enough. So it's enough to cover, I don't know, my salary every month. But other than that, like credit card payments are coming out of savings and other things are coming out of savings. And so that has slowly been chipped away because this has been literally an 11-month situation. And it's just been so hard and it's just so demoralizing. There's so much shame with it of like, if I can't do this for myself, then how am I going to teach people how to do this for themselves? And my business was bringing in almost $200,000 a year and I'm at like a quarter of that at this point. And so there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of secrecy. And I know so many coaches who are in a similar situation. And so now it's just compounding. So I'm not motivated and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I was like, have I just been depressed this whole time? Like for all of 2025 and I didn't fucking know. And I think that's what has happened, that it wasn't like a huge crash. And I've had those. I have been on mood stabilizers. I have been hospitalized for a week. I have been on antidepressants and antipsychotics and going to psychiatrists and therapists. And I was wrongly misdiagnosed as bipolar again, because I was in a shitty relationship and marriage. But I know depression. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. And I know how fast it can escalate. And I wasn't at that point. I was just not motivated. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, that was fucking depression. But again, like when you start to take things into consideration, I've been going through lots of grief. I still, even the other day, I'm 3 years out of my marriage and I had this huge aha moment about how I was using my ex as a translator for Italian. And it hit me. I'm like, maybe I don't have this paperwork. And because he wasn't translating appropriately and he was lying from the very beginning. So I had this moment of, was he translating to the government offices with what I was fucking saying? And that has impacted my residency. And so, like, even now, I'm still dealing with so much trauma and so much residual grief and betrayal trauma. Like, of course, I'm going to be upset. Of course, I'm going to be not myself. And so, it's been so hard to figure out what's what. And so, leading up to this, I just thought, I'm just going to let myself feel my feelings. Which is brand new to me. Just letting myself cry and not having to put a name on it, and doing somatic practices and taking mental health days. I've had to take a lot of those in the last year. And what started happening more often was that I was having more bad days than good days. And I was realizing that I was on the verge of tears all the time. And I went to hug my sister-in-law. They live next door, and like almost broke down in tears because I was like, Italians don't really hug. They do the, double cheek kiss, but they hug me. I've trained them to properly hug me. And I could just feel this coming. And I was like, okay, something's happening. And then I was barely leaving the house. So I barely left the house in August, which is my birthday month. I am a beach bum. I love the beach. I love getting tan. I am usually there multiple times a week, and I could not fucking be bothered to go to the beach this summer. And that was like a huge, I think something's wrong. I would have a beach date with my friend once a week. We would meet on the weekend, and I would be 1 to 2 hours late each time because I could not get out of the house. I could not get motivated. And there were times where I even missed the beach date because I wasn't thinking properly. And I was like, oh, I thought you said you were going to be there at 3, not until 3. I'm so sorry. I guess I'll see you next weekend. And I started realizing, like, okay, this is not good. And so looking back, with the launches felt hard, showing up on social media felt hard. Oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And then later never came. Selling felt fucking hard. Then it started feeling like it was not an energetic match anymore. Like I didn't feel in alignment with the work that I was doing. So that's obviously going to show up and make it really difficult to try to sell the fucking thing. And it all just came crashing down. Want to break free from the hustle and grind and build a successful business? I've helped thousands of clients and students leave their 9-to-5 jobs, travel the world, land their first clients, close 5-figure sales in the DMs, and grow their businesses to 6 and 7 figures. Want to know more? Visit antihustlebiz.com and transform your life and business the anti-hustle way. Okay, back to the show. But again, things were happening in my life. So my birthday is at the end of August. That always brings stuff up for me. The guy I had been seeing for a couple of months, he ended things. I couldn't afford the birthday trip that I wanted. So the year before, I took myself to Sardinia. I rented a car. I was in a 5-star hotel. And then this year I was like, I think I'm just going to go have a coffee for my birthday. My ego took such a big hit. My confidence took a big hit. Everything was hitting all at once. And so Then what started to click for me, and I have started to see, maybe it's because I've been talking about it more, but I've been seeing more people on socials talk about this. Where the other day someone was like, I think it was on Threads, they said, what's it called when I'm not like thinking of ways to kill myself, but I wouldn't be upset like if I didn't wake up, or I don't care if I'm alive, or I'm bummed when I wake up in the morning. And it's basically like passive suicidal ideation. And that's where I was in August. And I was just kind of like, daydreaming about creative ways to make it happen. And then being like, well, like, I don't want anybody to find me, and I don't want to, fuck somebody else's life up. And also, as someone who used to use drugs and alcohol, my whole thing too is always I could use and nobody would know. Plus, being an introvert and a hermit, and I live far away from family, I could just disappear and nobody would know. Like, I don't have people that I check in with really, or they'd be like, oh, I haven't heard from Shannon in a couple days. I wonder where she is. And so my brain started to go in this place, and I was having to remind myself on a daily basis of all of the good things that I love, and that I have my cats, and I don't know if there's cats where I would be going, and I'm not religious, so like I don't have an afterlife that I imagine that I go to. Like, you're just fucking dead. And where do I want to travel, and what do I want to do? And I would never want my niece to have to hear that Aunt Shanny's never coming to visit anymore. And so I was really having to think about, why should I stay here? And I was like, this is really dangerous and I need help. And so I did one final email to my national health doctor, and I minimized it 100%, which was like, I've been really depressed and I haven't been this depressed since I was in my 20s. But she doesn't know that that means I was hospitalized for a week or on antipsychotics. And she just kind of like brushed things over and was essentially like, I don't know what to tell you. You keep fucking coming in here and asking for blood tests. I don't know what to tell you. So I found a private doctor, a woman who speaks English, very important. And I was like, I need to talk to you about hormone replacement therapy. And because I didn't want to get on antidepressants. I really had a feeling that this was more than that. And one of the first things that the doctors try to do is, when you're feeling as depressed as I was, they're obviously going to put you on mental health meds, when the problem is actually the estrogen levels plummeting and your progesterone all over the place. And so that's why I was like, I want to try hormone replacement therapy before we talk about antidepressants, because I'm not dating anymore right now. But the whole like libido and weight gain that happens with antidepressants, and you have to, I just know the process that it takes to find one that actually works. And that felt too daunting. So I went to the gyno and we had a conversation. And one thing that's interesting is, because here in Italy and in the EU, there is a birth control pill that is bioidentical hormone, considered bioidentical estrogen, but not bioidentical progesterone. And it's called Zoelli. And she immediately was like, your panels are fine. Your blood tests tell me that. And she did a vag ultrasound and was like, literally everything's fine. You're not in menopause. So I want to put you on Zoelli because it's bioidentical, and because of how this works with your body. And I feel like it'll be a better idea. Now, I came to this appointment with all these preconceived ideas about birth control. So I was not sold on the idea. So she said, okay, look, I get it. Go do some research. Go look this up. Of course, I chat GPT'd it. She said, here is a better supplement There's tryptophan and other things, and I want you to take this before you go to bed. So do this supplement for 90 days. I don't know what it's called. It's like Almatax, I think, but it's available here in Italy. It tastes fucking awful. You're just supposed to put it in your mouth, under your tongue. And do this for 90 days. If you don't improve, then we can get you on the Zoelli. And I was like, okay, perfect. Well, then just a matter of a couple days later, I had another just like complete meltdown. And I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to get through the winter. I'm going to actually take the birth control. And I remember on the 4th day of taking it, I was dancing around my house and I was like, I feel really happy. And I stopped in my tracks and I was like, whoa, I have not felt like that. Like that is a new feeling. I have not felt like that in a long time. And I was like, I think it's working. So now I've been taking it for a little bit over a month. Not that I was thinking it was going to be this miracle cure. I was really hoping my hip would get better. I was hoping that my sleep would get better. That's still kind of fucked up. Not kind of. It's fucked up still. But also, I'm a light sleeper. There's a dog next door. I can hear people through the walls. So it just drives me fucking bananas. But my mood, I was like, if the only thing that is fixed is that I am not passively suicidal anymore, this will have been worth it. And I have not had those intrusive thoughts in a long time. There were times where I'd wake up and be disappointed that I fucking woke up because I'm like, God, I have to do this for another day. How many more days do I have to do this? How many more years do I have to do this? So that has gone. Now, what I also realized through all of this testing was that my cortisol levels are spiked. So now what I am doing, I again chat GPT'd this, and apparently how I was living my life was in one huge cortisol spike. So the workouts that I was doing back in my early 30s were super intense. I was doing this 30-second sprints of jumping jacks, mountain climbers, different HIIT, right? High interval impact training. That is done. The recommendation there is to just lift, give me more time in between sets to rest, and then only doing HIIT 1 to 2 times a week, which I was doing it 6 times a week essentially. There's food that I need to add in. I need to be way more mindful of my sleep. I had to get a sleep machine, like a noise machine, which that has been a blessing and a curse because with the noise machine, it cancels everything out. And I've been sleeping in until like 11 o'clock every day, which is not usual for me. Usually I'm up at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and just ready to go. But that doesn't mean that I got enough sleep. It just means that my body woke me up at 6 o'clock in the morning and now I'm getting up. So this is an adjustment. So did that contribute to all of this, of the ups and downs? No more fasted workouts. Now I have to actually eat something before I go to the gym and not like racing because I'm so competitive. And so I'm competitive with myself. So I'd be like, all right, yesterday I got to the gym. It's about 3 miles and I got here in 16 minutes. So let's see if I can get there in 15 minutes. And I think one time I got there in like, I don't know, 14 minutes. Like I was booking it to the gym. No more of that. I have to just like chill out. So it's been a lesson in just accepting my body for where she is right now and loving her more and not punishing her with the workouts. But I can still lift heavy, but no more of the HIIT. Like how can I still find the value? Like, we need to be lifting and doing progressive overload to strengthen our bones, right? Because the calcium is seeping out of our bones at this point. But one thing that I've had to really start to look at and change my mindset around is getting, air quotes, getting back to my old body. So I'm 5'6" and like 190 pounds right now. When I was in my 30s doing this program, I was probably 40 pounds lighter. And I remember all growing up, my mom being like, when I was your age, I was 135 pounds. I was 145 pounds. And it was like, okay, but you're older now. So of course you're not going to weigh that. And here I am at 46. When I was younger, I weighed 150 pounds and and it clicked. And I was like, you're doing what you were raised with. And we're not doing that. We don't do that here. How can I love my body more? How can I love my belly more? Because the more I'm going to try to fight it, the more I'm going to hate it. And the more I'm just going to perpetuate all of the shit that I grew up with that I swore that I would never do. So, how can I work out in a way that is for future me? And like future me, maybe 190 is the fucking weight that I'm going to be at for a little bit. It doesn't mean that it's forever. But how can I love where I am now and let go of this whole getting back to where I was? Because also where I was 11 or 12 years ago, was not in perimenopause. I didn't live in the land of pasta and tiramisu and gelato. My hormones weren't out of whack. I was also working out to punish, I was like worried about getting cheated on. And newsflash, I still got cheated on, but I was working out because I didn't want my boyfriend to cheat on me. I wanted to have like, the perfect body so that there was no reason for him to cheat on me. So like mentally, that's not healthy. And then I was thinking about, was I happy back then? What was my mental health like? And how am I such a different person? And so I really wanted to just shift all of this of how I'm showing up and how I'm really being more considerate, but more, what's the word I'm looking for? Intentional about my workouts and taking care of myself. And I want to work out so I have a strong body, not so I have a skinny body. I want to work out so that I have a healthy body, not a 150-pound body, right? I'm holding extra weight right now that doesn't allow me to move the way that I want to move. If I'm doing different stretching or yoga poses, I have a fucking belly right now that I've never had in my entire life. And it's hard for me to move and get into different yoga poses because I have this fucking belly. And I just have to laugh and tell her I love her and be like, we're in this together and hopefully not for much longer. But there are things that I need to do to lower my cortisol because it's literally just all in my belly. Like, it's not usually when I gain weight overall, like my face starts to get bigger, like everything starts to get bigger, but it's literally just in my belly right now. So I know that it's my cortisol stuff. So I'm just having to rewire all of the beauty standards and the diet culture shit and all the shit that my mom raised me with and all the shit that we're seeing out in the world and all of the fucking makeovers and the whole like brand new faces these people are coming, like all the stars and the facelifts and the body lifts and all of the fucking drugs and the things. I just want to not participate in any of that. And it's why I'm growing my hair out. It's why I've committed to not doing Botox or any lip injections. It's why I I stopped shaving my legs. Like, I don't want to participate in any of this anymore. And whether you're on board with that or not, but this is me. It really started to happen back, especially in 2019, was the ultimate when I was like, I'm getting my implants out and I'm not getting them back in. I didn't get a lift on purpose. Like, I just wanted to see my natural body. I wanted to see my natural breasts and my skin. And yes, I have like a whole regimen with retinol and shit like that, but I just want to see me, and I want other women to see what it looks like to age naturally. And I want to see other women who are doing that as well. I have other friends who are also struggling with this, that it's hard. It's really fucking hard to be on the internet and have a business where you're doing reels and people are judging you and they're coming onto your fucking posts and telling you that you're fat. Like, I had some dickhead come and tell me that my body composition was horrid. And it's just like, suck my dick. I want nothing to do with this. How do I unsubscribe from all of this? And so that's what I've been doing over here. So stripping away all of the shit, taking the hormones, trying to get more sleep, and trying not to kill myself. I say that lightly now, but if any of this lands for you, if there's any part like you're shaking your head or you're in this right now or you have been in this, I just want to give you a big hug. I want you to know that you're not alone. There are so many of us who are dealing with this. We're maybe not having these conversations on our profiles, but these are conversations that I'm having with my friends behind closed doors. Like, so many of us are going through all of this stuff, just like trying to figure out what the fuck is happening right now. So if this episode landed for you, I would love for you to share this with a friend who's been struggling. Maybe they don't know why, or they're just like trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. She might need to hear this to know that she's not crazy. She's actually perimenopausal. And there's it's like a whole new world that just opens up. And just to stick around, that's what I had to remind myself, that there are better days coming. There's cats. There's more cats to meet. There's more pasta to eat. There's more people to love. More, delicious pastries and tiramisu to eat around the world. So I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I will talk to you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I hope you found inspiration in the message and that you got some actionable next steps that you can implement right away in your business to start seeing results and moving the needle. Remember, you don't have to sacrifice your well-being or your mental health to achieve success. So prioritize your pleasure, play, and rest while you build your business around your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps me reach more entrepreneurs like you who want to do business in a completely new way. For more resources and to connect with my community, please visit my website at antihustlebiz.com and follow me on Instagram at @TheShannonWhaley. Until next time, keep taking those strategic anti-hustle steps toward building the business and life that you love. Take care.